Drifter Jack and the shadows of the pit. Vortex Station clung to the edge of a raging gas giant like a barnacle on a storm-tossed hull. Its lower decks a labyrinth of flickering neon signs, hissing steam vents, and the constant low rumble of life support systems straining against the void. Down here, in the lawless rim, credits were king and mercy was a fool's currency. The Crucible, the infamous underground fight pit, was where fortunes changed hands and bones broke for sport. Jack Thorne had been ghosting through those decks for weeks, keeping his scarred hands in his pockets and his history buried deeper than a derelict AS black box. Cash was thin. The arena promised fat purses with no names required. He fought prelims under Drifter Jack, won clean, collected winnings, and vanished. Nobody needed his story. His only steady company was a pair of void-hounds that had chosen him like he was home. The little female was cute as a fluffy bunny with a stubby tail that never quit wagging, 3 mismatched eyes blinking adoration, soft patched fur hiding old dock scars, and a habit of riding his shoulder like a living scarf. The big male was ugly as sin, but sweet as honey. Lumpy brindle hide, one torn ear flopped over, spots of old plasma burns across his broad back, and a jaw that looked like it lost an argument with a bulkhead years ago. Still, the brute leaned against Jack's leg wherever they stopped, thumping that heavy tail in quiet loyalty. It started in the station's rec dome, a cavernous park under a cracked viewport streaked with eternal stormlight. Alien kids chased gravity balls, merchants hawked glow fruits, the air smelled of ozone and fried dough. Jack sat on a bench, sharing ration scraps with his strays, when a colourful ball ricocheted off a bulkhead and smacked a towering Lupari square in the muzzle. The Lupari, Grauble, alpha of a pack that extorted half the lower markets, spun with a snarl that rattled nearby stalls. 8 feet of iron-grey fur, cybernetic claws glinting, yellow eyes promising ruin. His 6 enforcers closed ranks instantly, forming a wall of fangs and muscle around a trembling Korran cub. Soft marsupial fur puffed in terror, wide eyes brimming, the little one curling instinctively toward its mother's pouch, though it was nearly grown too big. Grauble loomed. "That'll cost your family, pest. Or maybe just you." Jack set his synth brew down slow, gave each dog a gentle scratch. "Stay put, girls," and stood. No rush, no bluster, just a tired man in worn boots walking over. The pack turned, sizing him, mid-50s human, broad-shouldered but unassuming, eyes that missed nothing. Grauble sneered, "Move along, soft skin, pack business." Jack stopped a respectful distance, glanced at the cub with a small nod that eased its shaking a fraction, then looked up at the alpha. "Do they know the truth about you?" His voice was calm, almost gentle. Part pity, part cold predatory amusement that only the truly dangerous could pull off. The pack shifted uneasily. Even the biggest enforcer, twice Jack's bulk, hesitated. Grauble circled, trying to intimidate. Jack tracked him lazily, almost bored. "You'd happily terrorize a child," Jack said softly, "but face an adult half your size, then hide behind your pack." Growls rumbled low, but nobody lunged. Grauble barked a warning, "Apologize and walk," claiming cognitive defect as excuse. Jack chuckled, warm, genuine, like the alpha had landed a halfway decent punchline. "You're almost adorable, Gerbil, right? Sounds like a stomach complaint after bad rations. I'll just call you Rumps. Name's Jack." He tilted his head toward the cub. "No, I'm just not impressed by bullies. And you owe this little one an apology. Pride's a bitter pill. Choke's going down, don't it?" The crowd swelled, Korran's whispering hope, spaces filming on discreet hollows. Grauble faked bravado to cover his pack's hesitation. Jack offered the out, voice softening just enough. "Tell you what, say sorry, save face. Maybe in the Crucible you'll walk out on your own legs. If not..." That tired, wicked grin flashed. "See you soon, Rumps. Insurance paid up," Grauble roared fury. "Your blood will paint the arena. Jack shook his head sadly. Gave you a chance. Then, to the cub, a quick wink and finger gun, before melting into the crowd. The next days were thick with tension. Unbeknownst to Jack, Grauble's pack prowled hard, convinced the Korran family knew the mysterious human. They cornered the parents in market alleys, snarled threats, roughed up stalls nearby. Where's your soft-skinned friend? He interferes again, we take it out on you first. The cub stopped playing outside. The family kept lights low. Jack stayed invisible. Cheap sleep pods, back-alley domino games, with a cheating old avian who cackled every win, sharing scraps with his strays. The fluffy one curled on his chest at night. The ugly brute guarded the pod door like a sentinel. One humid cycle, Jack slipped into a dim bar called the Drift Anchor. Smoky air, low throb of bass-heavy music, mix of species nursing drinks under flickering hollows of old Earth sunsets. Behind the bar worked Lirael, a Zeltran female, tall, lithe, skin shifting subtle iridescent blues and violets like oil on water, long tendrils instead of hair that moved with her mood, stunning in that alien way that turned every head, and she knew it. She poured drinks with fluid grace, hips swaying just enough to promise without delivering, eyes sparkling mischief. Jack slid onto a stool near the end, his strays curled underneath, invisible to most patrons. Lirael spotted him, smile curving slow and warm. Back again, Drifter. You're becoming furniture. She leaned forward on the bar, tendrils curling playfully, cleavage framed perfectly by her low-cut vest. What'll it be tonight? Something strong enough to loosen that quiet tongue. Jack's tired smile tugged genuine. Synth bourbon, double, and whatever you recommend to go with it. She poured smooth, sliding the glass so her fingers brushed his. Careful, my recommendations come with side effects. Her voice dropped, husky. Some men find they can't walk straight after. He chuckled low. I've walked crooked plenty. Might be interesting. Across the bar, nursing a glowing green sludge alone, sat one of Grauble's pack, Korran, mid-rank enforcer, already deep in his cups. He'd been shooting his shot with Lirael for days, getting shot down with razor-sharp teasing that left the whole bar laughing. Tonight, watching her flirt effortless with the human, jealousy boiled over. Lirael leaned closer to Jack, tendrils brushing his forearm like silk. You fight tonight, don't you? Big purse against the Lupari pack. Her eyes traced his scars. Bet you leave marks that last. Jack met her gaze steady. Only when necessary, darling. Some marks fade quick. The sexual tension hummed, her laugh low, body language open, hips cocked just so. Patrons watched envious and entertained. The air crackled playful danger. Korran staggered over, slurring loud. Zeltran slut teasing every species but her own. Now this, soft human, he drawled in slurred disgust as he loomed behind Jack, breath reeking. Should teach you respect. Lirael rolled her eyes. Korran, honey, the only thing you teach is how fast a male can make a fool of himself. Go sleep it off before you embarrass your pack more. The bar quieted. Sensing storm, Jack stayed seated, sipping his drink calm. Easy, friend, ladies working. Buy your own drink. Nurse your pride elsewhere. Korran swung clumsy. A haymaker telegraphed from the next system. Jack leaned back lazy. The fist whistled past his ear. Crowd murmured excitement. Korran pressed, growling, swinging wild again. Jack slipped each one minimal, good-humored trash talk flowing. Whoa, big fella, swinging like you're fighting gravity itself. Dodged another. Careful, you'll pull something important. Lirael watched amused, tendrils dancing. My credits are on the human. He moves like he's dancing with me instead. Korran roared frustration, grabbed an empty bottle off the bar, smashed it against the counter, jagged glass weapon gleaming. The mood flipped deadly. Jack's eyes hardened winter cold. He rose smooth, voice still calm, but edged steel. Bad choice, son. Korran lunged, bottle thrusting clumsy for Jack's gut. Jack sidestepped inside, trapped the arm like a python claiming supper, twisted vicious. Bottle clattered harmless. Then the uppercut came all the way up from South America, fist rising like a freight shuttle launching, connecting under the jaw with a crack that echoed like hull metal shearing. Korrak's feet left the floor an inch. He folded unconscious before hitting it. Bar erupted. Cheers, laughter, credits changing hands. Lirael's eyes sparkled genuine heat. She reached across, fingers tracing Jack's knuckles gentle. "My shift ends in 2 hours, Drifter. If you're still breathing tonight..." Innuendo hung thick as the smoke. Jack tipped an imaginary hat, with a warm, knowing half-grin and a wink. "Might just take you up on that, beautiful." He dropped credits generous, whistled low. His strays emerged, fluffy one licking the unconscious Lupari's boot curious, ugly one growling soft warning. Jack scratched both, led them out into the neon night. Fight night pre-show lights and music arrived electric. The Crucible throbbed, red strobes pulsing, force fields shimmering, air heavy with alien musk, spilled drinks, anticipation. Thousands roared from tiered seats. Jack entered through the back, a dimly lit carro ramp and rolling door, quiet concealed. It was the fighters' entryway. The front arena growing louder with cheers and jeers. After several bouts, it was his turn. He'd gained some fans over the last few weeks. Small fights, clean. He'd been undefeated thus far, never excessive always, clean and putting on a good show. They cheered loudly for him, but most were polite claps or expressions of sadness for his expected loss. The Lupari crew were the favourites hands down. They ruled the arena with a vicious, bloody iron fist. Cruelty their trademark. Drifter Jack was expected by most to be the next victim hauled out after a vicious extended show of the pack's predatory toying before tearing their victim apart. The arena coordinator had actually looked apologetic while collecting his entry fee this time. He'd come to like Jack, respect for both his sportsmanship and his showmanship. This time wasn't the one-on-one mid-tier opponent, it was the undefeated pack, and he knew for them at least. It was a personal vendetta for them. He took the fee and truly wished Jack luck. The betting pools weren't really focused on win or lose. They were focused on how long Jack would last. The odds increasing in increments of minutes with a side of if he'd be alive when he left the arena or not. Jack, of course, had bet on himself to win because of course he did. First, Grauble's remaining enforcers out for blood after Korrak's humiliation, hate already deep over their insulted alpha and the pack by extension. They tanned out as they entered to mild applause. Most here didn't like the pack at all. The locals all having friends or family suffering under their cruel boots of extortion. Gates crashed down. They charged coordinated fury, claws raking air, bodies slamming like battering rams. Jack danced the storm calm, letting the first graze his shoulder just enough to feel the burn, then answered with a sidekick like a jackhammer punching clean through reinforced plating. The Lupari's thigh buckled inward, howl ripping through the roar as he crumpled clutching the ruin. Another drove low for the tackle. Jack spun fluid, grabbing tight like a gorilla tenderizing supper. He rolled the momentum, scooped the brute up like a Ferris wheel gone berserk, hoisting all that mass overhead in a surge of raw power, then planted him hard, slamming an oversized sandbag into unyielding deck with a thud that rattled the force field and silenced half the crowd for a heartbeat. Two more closing fast-flanked simultaneous, claws flashing silver arcs. Jack took a shallow rake across the ribs, hot fire blooming, blood scent mixing with sweat, but he grinned savage through it, ducked inside the arc, and brought an overhand strike down from somewhere south of heaven. The blow landed like an anvil, dropped from orbit square on collarbone, crack sharp, enforcer folding forward like a broken hinge, shoulder region sagging like wilted Silvorian lettuce. The fifth slipped on spilled stim ale mid-lunge, arms windmilling comically. The arena exploded in laughter. Jack didn't miss the gift. Knee rose like a slug launched from an old world 357, driving into now mushy gut and lifting the Lupari clear off his feet before he hit deck, gasping. Last one hesitated a fraction. Long enough. Jack closed, clinched, twisted, and hurled him into the barrier with a sparklet crash. One by one carried out groaning heaps. Crowd chanted wild, "Drifter! Drifter!" Even the ones thinking they might lose their bets. The arena, now in mass wickedly gleeful at the packed servings of humble pie. Anticipation and hope of seeing Grauble's first loss. True hope of their own revenge, even it was by proxy. Grauble stalked in last. Cyber claws fully extended, rage rolling like heat haze, a heavy chain pendant swinging at his thick neck. A polished obsidian fang capped in crude gold, carved with ancient Lupari dominance runes, the mark of an unbroken alpha. They circled each other slow, breathing heavy, blood dripping from Jack's side. Jack eyeing him grin, promising his impending dethroning into dust and rust. His public humiliation in his first loss. Grauble rarely had to do more than the final strikes, claiming victory of his pack's work. Grauble lunged savage, claws carving vicious arcs that whistled death. Jack sidestepped fluid, answered low kick snapping out, pounding thigh tissue like a meat grinder. Grauble roared, tackled Jack in bull rush. Jack hit the deck hard, coming up in a reversed mount. A scramble of limbs and fur. Jack's strikes rained powerful and precise, each one a pile driver from low orbit, thudding into ribs, shoulders, jaw. Grauble bucked wild, snarled through foaming blood. The cub and its family? We'll end them slow. That flipped the final switch. Jack's eyes went cold, their temperature dropping to absolute zero. All mercy, all showmanship gone, replaced by a predator ending a threat. He trapped one massive leg, leveraging his full body weight, twisted forcing vicious pop-like mooring cable snapping in vacuum. Grauble's howl shattered eardrums. Grauble now mid-collapse, Jack swept the other leg clean, multiplying Grauble's momentum, Jack rising high. Knee dropped divine judgment into thigh meat, then flowing like water, wrapping the hamburger on a bone that used to be a leg. Then still in the same flowing fluid momentum, a final deliberate twist. Compound shatter echoing, both legs the instruments in a symphony of snare drum-like snapping ruin. Grauble crumpled, broken alpha whimpering, pride and dominance utterly shattered. Jack rose slow, chest heaving, blood-slick hand reaching down. Grauble terrified this would be his last breath, paralyzed by fear, shock and pain. Jack's fingers closed deliberate around that obsidian fang pendant, chain tightening around his neck, drawing down like the death of a hangman's noose. Then after an eternally long heartbeat in slow motion to Grauble, the chain snapped with a sharp jerk. The shadow of death passing so close, Jack claiming a victor's trophy, intentional humiliation carved in every motion. He held it high a moment, letting the roaring crowd drink in the fallen alpha's shame, then tucked it away. Med drones swarmed, hauling the now former alpha's ruined body out, his legs useless, carried like discarded scrap. Shame and humiliation replaced by humble relief to just be breathing, tinged by shame. Jack collected the heaviest purse yet, enough for real passage off station in style. He could have picked up a personal transport of his own, but a ship owner would be hard-pressed to remain anonymous. While being bandaged in a quiet corner medbay, his strays found him quick. Fluffy One licked blood gentle from knuckles, Ugly Brute leaned heavy, tail thumping proud as the medbot worked around them. He laughed, tired, warm reel, scratched scarred ears of both as Lirael walked in. Mischievous glimmer in her eyes and a grin that spoke volumes. How you walkin', drifter? That night with Lirael lingered timeless, skin on shifting skin, a dance that flowed as natural as breathing, tempo and flow that ebbed and sped up and ebbed again as they danced, from vertical to horizontal and back again, spinning like nebula clouds, furious and slow, then furious again. Tendrils tangled in his hair, her rhythm matching his, her body chasing him. The rogue drifter who'd never stay, a mysterious outlaw this port beauty dreamed of taming, yet knew she couldn't. Whispers in the dark, laughter muffled, bodies speaking a language words never would. When morning cycle glowed pale through the viewport, Jack stood at her door, boots on, pack slung. She held his strays close, the fluffy one perched on her shoulder, ugly brute sitting loyal at her feet. "You could stay," she said soft, eyes knowing the answer. Jack's tired smile warmed just for her. "Got to keep moving, beautiful, maybe someday." He scratched both dogs one last time, gave a flirtatious wink to Lirael, then turned toward the docks without looking back. Later, under fake twilight, he watched from afar as the Korran cub bounced its new ball high, giggling fearless with friends again. A polished obsidian fang on a fresh chain, carved with old Lupari runes, now just a child's proud treasure, bounced rhythmic on its little chest with every joyful leap. Jack slipped deeper into shadows, purse heavier, conscience lighter, and a transport to catch. The pack scattered in the weeks after, their dominance shattered, extortion rings collapsed. The Korran family breathed free again. Cub played bold under the dome lights. Shop owners and patrons alike, a little less wary, a little more open, a lot more alive. In places without law, sometimes one quiet man, his chosen pack. And a code older than stars were enough to shift the dark just a little toward light.